Welcome to our coaching chat. We are in a series right now of just talking about the 5 different areas of leadership. And hopefully on this call, we are hitting phase 3. We talked about self-leadership, and that would be for brand new people, kind of just getting their feet wet, getting started. Last week, we talked about the accidental leader, and that's somebody who maybe just from pure excitement of who you are and your personality, you are at a particular phase, that accidental leadership. Like you've got customers and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm in. What do I do now? This phase 3 is what we call the rising leader. And so here's how you know if, and hopefully most of you have gone and taken the quiz and know where you fall on this leadership pendulum anyway, or process. So a rising leader is going to be someone who you've probably hit that leadership level. Maybe you're sales coordinator, qualifying senior sales coordinator, or senior sales coordinator level. That would kind of be probably that range of that rising leader. So you've had success with Juice Plus. You probably have a pretty good customer base. Maybe you're starting to attract some distributors now, but possibly you're frustrated because they're not kind of taking ownership of their business yet. And so what you're kind of at the verge right now is you want to begin duplicating yourself. So you've got a few team members, you've got probably a good customer base, but you're thinking, okay, how do I get these team members that I've attracted? How do I get them duplicating and following what I'm doing and really taking charge, and they themselves see themselves as leaders? And you personally are treating this like a business. You're showing up to the calls, you've got a DMO, you're tracking. That's kind of where a rising leader is. So in this level, what are the enemies that will hold you back from further growth? So one could be, you may be spending too much time. I know personally, if I look back, I was probably trying to do this business for people. Like I was really working hard to help them progress. But I think sometimes we can do too much for people, because as soon as we can help them understand this is your business and they really take ownership so that they move beyond accidental leaders, that's when your business is really going to grow. So we were just chatting with Kelly, and I know she's busy putting some kiddos to bed, but that's Amy's new rep. And I love the fact that Kelly is on this call right now, because that's Kelly taking ownership of her own business. That's a really good sign. It's a good sign, Amy, that you've got her on this call. It's a good sign that Kelly's on here, is the fact that she's like, okay, this is my business. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to take on the ownership of it. And so what we want is to be the kind of rep that people are going to follow. Am I doing all these things so that people are seeing, here's what I'm doing, and they're going to follow suit and step into a leadership role quicker? So what we don't want to do is, oh, I'll put in that order for you. I'll do this. I'll do that. We want them to step up and start doing that. What we're doing is guiding them and showing them the next steps. We want to stay in close contact with them, but we don't want to actually do the things for them, because they're going to feel like, oh, I'm just part of your team, versus them seeing themselves as a leader of a budding team, if that makes sense. The next thing is just following into that management mode, and that we're taking care of our customers and our distributors, but we're not pushing ourselves. And which I'm going to go back and look. When I look at that, if we're truly growing our business, we are making a lot of prospect partner connections and a lot of prospect customer connections. And Brenda probably can relate to this with me as well. You know, when I started this business, it was all about find 5 key people who you can lock arms with and go the distance. And I think I found those 5 people, and we weren't taught to go wide and bring on a lot of partners. We were kind of taught, like, find your 5 and then go deep and work really closely with them. And so if you're newer, everybody else on here is probably a good bit newer than Brenda. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go wide with this business. Don't just stop once you get what you need to move to the next position. And that's something that we all, and I'm one to really say, I've fallen into this trap too, in the past, and I will circle in and out of it many times because I want people to be successful. But we can't do it to the point that we stop growing personally at any season. Brenda, I see you shaking your head. Do you want to have any comments, say anything about?
Absolutely, because you really never know what's going to happen when if you're really focused on just those 5, life hits people. And, and I think what we've just learned is that, the more legs that you have underneath you that you're involved with, the better it is.
And then the next enemy, so I've tried to just narrow these down to a few, is that we may at this stage be attracting people, but we're not duplicating. So if you've attracted some people to your team, but they're not duplicating your activities and what you're doing, then you want to step back and say, okay, why am I not duplicating myself? So is it that I'm not personally doing the activities that I need to be doing? So I think that would be the first question to yourself. If you've attracted some people to your team, but you're not seeing them grow and move forward, what is it? Questions will really help us understand what's going on if we step back and we ask ourselves, okay, I've attracted 3 new people, but they're not duplicating. They're not duplicating me, and they're not moving forward. Am I doing everything I need to be doing? And I go back to that cycle that we talked about probably about a year ago, that we make a plan, execute the plan, track the plan, track the activity, review it. And it was that feedback cycle. And what we're doing, we're giving ourselves feedback. Am I making a plan every week? Am I executing that plan? Am I tracking my activity? And am I taking a look at my week? Just like what we just did, am I doing that personally? Because that's how we're going to get better, and that's how we're going to model to these brand new distributors, here's what you need to do. Starting every Monday, you need to have a game plan. Then you need to execute it, and we track our activity. And then we look back and say, how'd we do? How can I tweak it? How can I get better? What took me down last week? Sometimes life happens, but sometimes it's just we're not being strategic with our activity. I can work all week long, but if I'm not really carving out 2 power hours to really make my connections, by the end of the week, I've done a lot of work but hadn't made any progress. And that's what I don't want to happen. So how are you doing? Are you being duplicatable? And then the other question is, if you're saying, yes, I am, I'm really doing those things, then I think it's stepping back is, then if your team's not following you, why is that? If you're doing the activity, but you're not seeing duplication, then I think you ask yourself, and then maybe it's being vulnerable and going to those new reps that we brought on the team and saying, okay, what's holding you back? Is it that they don't have the vision for what they can do with this business? Or maybe we haven't spent the time to really find out what's their why. Why are they doing this business? Or maybe let me ask you guys. So if we've got, let me just throw that question out here. I'm going to stop sharing just for a minute, and I want it so that I can see everybody. Who has some new team members, but you feel like they're not duplicating and doing what you're doing? Anybody have a team member or 2 like that? All right, so Karen, let's talk to you then. So what do you think it is? Because I know you're good about doing the activity. So I
Yeah,
don't
well,
think it's that
and I have trained them on the website, and they were gung-ho to begin with. And I think
okay.
then they get a few no's and a few negative reviews, and then they're just folding like cheap lawn chairs. And it's frustrating because I spend time helping them, and then they quit.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Have you asked them that question?
Which, why
Tell
they're,
me, when you've got someone who's not moving along, then I think it's when you go into asking questions.
oh,
To
and
get,
I've had
and
lunch
what
with
what are
them.
you getting back?
That oh, I've used up all my friends, and I've offered to help them do live events. We've set up events. You know, they just aren't in it, and I can't force that on them. So I think I'm attracting the wrong person as or people. So I think I need to start looking for different aspects
Well,
rather
let
than
me
just,
ask you this question. When you brought them on board, did you walk through that why with them?
oh yeah, all of
And
it.
what was their why?
One wanted to make, like 500 to 1,000, which was great, and I showed her how we could do that. And another was her husband, who happens to be a medical professional, poo-pooed it because it wasn't his idea, so she followed suit with him. And it's just, other people just wanted the discount, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm
let me
frustrated.
go back. Let me go
Yeah.
back to the one that you said wanted 500 to 1,000.
Hmm.
So when did you go back to that with her and say,
Oh, I contact her every week, and
okay,
ask her, hey, will you join the call this week? I'm always connecting with her, and she just says, oh, I've got an appointment here, I've got an appointment there, and just
okay,
doesn't come. And it's no fault of her own, but I just don't think her heart's in it. And so again, it's on me to find people that are attracted to the business and what it can do for them. So I'm kind of changing my direction on who I'm looking for.
okay. I think one thing, if we bring people on and they upfront say, hey, I just want to cover my cost or whatever. So I think that's one thing because we know where they are. And then, but if it's somebody who's communicated, hey, this is what I want to make, I think the good thing to go back to them is with the questions. So if I look back at our conversations on your why was to make a 500 to 1,000 a month with this business. What's changed?
That's good.
Have I, have I put pressure or expectation, or did it get difficult? Tell me. And literally sometimes it's hard. It's hard to ask those follow-up questions, but I think digging deep to really kind of unravel what may be the true, I don't think with that one you've got to the true reason why yet, if that makes sense. And asking
Yeah.
permission. Can we go there? Always ask permission up front. I'd love for you to join me and really lock arms and let's do this together. But I sense something's holding you back. Would you shoot straight with me and tell me what that is?
Okay. Good.
So sometimes it's just being willing to kind of pull back the layers so that, because we can't help people be successful if we truly don't know what those roadblocks are. But once we start hearing those roadblocks, then we know how to help people be successful. Because I'm here to tell you, no matter who joins us, we're all going to have our issues, that we're all going to have a reason to not move forward when we get knocked back a bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a tough learning curve.
It
When
is.
that first happens to, especially if you're like me, I've
Because
not experienced that before, and it is you take it personally initially, but once Brenda was good about helping me with this, was like, don't take it personal, next,
yeah.
go to the next one, and that did help, but because it really isn't about me, it's about
Yep.
they're not ready.
In finding out, really good, so they feel and know you do care and you want to help them be successful.
Right.
You know, so one, I would have there's a book out called Crucial Conversations. Sometimes we have to have those crucial conversations, but I think if we have those, someone's really authentic with us and there's a reason why, then I think it almost kind of takes, it kind of, okay, I get it. I'm okay. Is it okay if I circle back around? Maybe now's not the time. Almost take them off the hook and yourself off the hook so that you're not carrying that burden that, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Is it my fault? Kind of back to what Brenda said. But we want to make sure all the stones have been unturned, you know? So you're a rising leader, yes? Isn't that what you came out? Who else is a rising leader, took the test as a rising leader? Is right where we're kind of talking about today. Nobody's talking to me. Anybody else? I am a vet, okay? Anybody else? Oh my goodness, did I forget to record the call? I did, didn't I? Well, no, I didn't. No, I'm recording. Okay. I saw someone say, did you record the call? So, yeah, Amy, I'm thinking you're probably right at that rising leader also. And maybe Tish. I think there's several. I feel like this is the category most people on this call are in. So thank you, Karen, for sharing. Who else is saying, okay, let's go back to thank you guys for being vulnerable and allowing us to let's go back and look at these again. Who else says, okay, I'm a rising leader, and if I'm looking at these enemies of growth, tell me where possibly some of you guys might be. What are you struggling with? Are these the enemies you're seeing that's kind of frustrating you and holding you back from moving forward? If so, let me hear some thoughts or comments on that.
Elaine, can I?
Yes.
Comment? Okay. So I'm doing a kind of a personal thing with each and every one of my partners to understand like where are they in their desire to move with the business, first of all. But secondly, like what motivates them? You know, are they the type of people that react really, really well on, hey, if you get this in the next 24 hours, you know, you're gonna move up to this level. Then awesome. That is so key for me. But if they're not and they feel pressured by me doing that, then I won't do it. But that for me has been the most challenging, is to learn and understand. I don't want to say the strengths and weaknesses because we're not in a corporation. I'm not in the corporate world any longer because I'm not their boss. But I would love to learn, you know, what motivates them and what helps them. What can I do more of that I'm already doing or not doing to help them? But everyone's different, right?
Yeah.
Everyone just is in a different place in their life, and what, you know, really inspires them and what helps them with this is just totally different from one person to another. So that's where I am.
I love it. And I think it kind of goes back to, you know, what we're talking with Karen is, you know, is having those conversations, crucial conversations. Right. They don't have, and when I say crucial, I'm not talking about negative, but really kind of getting in. And I think asking what motivates them, what attracts them, what excites them about this business. So I think that's a really good, and really staying connected with them.
Right. Yes. Good. Yeah. Without bugging them, you know. I've got a new partner right now. She's awesome. And I know she's going to do really, really great things. So, you know, I kind of buried some things on her and just dropped a lot on her. But then I backed off because I didn't get a response. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to back off. I don't want her to feel pressured. And she may be on this call. I don't know. I haven't checked. But you know, that's kind of that whole balance for me that I am learning in order to be able to help them.
And, you know, it's a growth journey for all of us at each level, no matter where we are on these phases.
Yes.
It's learning how to deal with people. And that's what I love this business, because we become better coaches and better support people. But we have to be intentional with it. All right.
Yes.
Anybody else have any comments? And if not, anybody else have any say, here's where I am. I'm a rising leader, and here's maybe talk about one of the challenges you see, or maybe one that's not listed. Anybody else have any comments? All right. So what do we need to do if we're a rising leader? What do we need to do to grow beyond to that next level? One is lead your team instead of doing it for them. I kind of talked about that was kind of a downfall that I kind of will take charge. In reality, I need to step back and let and encourage people to really step into that leadership role on our team, my team. The second thing is to utilize a solid onboarding development system. And that's something I feel like we don't always onboard people well into the business. So let me ask, and I'll stop sharing again. Those of you how many people brought on new partners since January? Okay. Do you all feel like that onboarding process, you feel like that I feel good about the way I'm bringing people on board? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Amy's feeling good. Karen's a little, Anybody else? Who else? All right. Did anyone else?
I've never felt more confident about that since we started using what you developed on Team Extreme.
Okay.
I mean, it's seamless. And Stacia has just brought on several new team members, and we've been using that too. And it's everything. She was just thrilled when she saw it. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of something I wanted to talk about, because I know the company really wants us to use the Freedom Revolution, which it's magnificent. But I feel like especially just in that area of onboarding, we need to keep it as simple as possible, literally. And I feel like as great as the Freedom Revolution is, I think it can be overwhelming for a new rep. And so really, when we boil it down, what do we want a new rep to do? Attract customers and partners. And so, and for them personally to build their belief. And so, when you're bringing on new people, really, I'm walking them through that really 3 boxes. And I do it over the course of 2 Zoom calls or 2 meetings. But the main thing I want them walking away with is, where can I find videos? And I lead them to the Freedom Revolution and also to the Recordings Facebook groups. And then literally help them craft a list of people that they're connecting with, and then walk through, what are you going to say to this person? How are you going to connect with this person? And really help them and do 3-way calls with them. Are you guys doing 3-way calls with these new people? Yes or no? Helping them literally, and that's where I'm seeing bringing on, and I wish Carrie was on here. She's my new rep that I've been working closely with. Hopefully today she'll hit qualifying sales coordinator. But literally in the beginning, it was doing about 3 or 4 calls, 3-way calls with her, so that she heard that verbiage. And then she just kind of took off. So make sure you're doing 3 or 4 3-way calls with those people, so they know what to say and they get in the rhythm of how to answer questions, what to say, how to get it started, if that makes sense. So I'm going to encourage you guys, if you haven't been doing that, make sure that's part of your onboarding process. Okay, we're running out.
The checklists too are so valuable.
Yes. Thank you. And maybe we'll circle back around and we'll do some role playing of onboarding someone, because I think that may be part of the problem too. Sometimes we overwhelm them with so much stuff that they're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too much. And I wish Carrie was on here, because in the beginning, all I got from her when I asked those questions were, yeah, I probably am not going to do a whole lot with this business. But now she's almost to qualifying sales coordinator. And so I think it's just, sometimes it takes just slowly feeding people information and not dumping too much on them because it's overwhelming. And then lastly, manage your team effectively, or your time effectively. And I think that is never getting out of that attraction mode of bringing on partners, new partners, and new customers. So it's a balancing act. And we used to sing, and we haven't talked about this for a while, but it's that deep and wide. Going wide, continuing to bring on new people, going deep and developing the people you have. Deep and wide, deep and wide, deep and wide. So when you're thinking about planning your week, say, am I going deep and wide, so that we're doing a little bit of both and bringing on new people, but still working with that team that we have. All right, we're out of time, but I want to shut up. Anybody have any thoughts or questions about today? Thank you guys for just sharing where you are. And so each week, let's jump on and let's put those numbers and then give yourself a percentage of how you did. You know, I give myself, like last week, if I look at my numbers, I'd probably give myself a 65% for the week. Teamsy does that for you, so that's kind of easy. But so that's what I want us to get into a habit of doing, so that we really are tracking how much we're doing, and are we doing what we say we want to do to reach the goals that we want to reach. All right, you guys, thanks for being on the call today. I appreciate you. And all right, hopefully everybody has a game plan. Let's have an awesome week, and giddy up.
Thanks, Elaine. Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.